ComC is your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace is home to over 27 million cards across all sports, genres, and eras. With a ComC account, you can purchase cards from different sellers over time and ship them home together later, or immediately reprice them for sale on the ComC marketplace. To stay updated with ComC, please follow them on social media at CheckOutMyCards, one word, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn about offers, promotions, and more at ComC, please visit blog.comc.com. You're listening to the WaxPackHero Sports Card Minute, a podcast where we discuss both the hobby and business sides of collecting. I'm your host, Mike Sommer, and I want to help you buy, sell, and trade your way into a collection you'll love. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WaxPackHero Sports Card Minute. Well, March is here, spring is just around the corner, and that means we're ready for a brand new season of USFL football. That's right, USFL football coming back in April. That's what we've got to look forward to this spring from a sports perspective, as well as the NBA playoffs and hockey playoffs and all of those types of things too. Well, today's episode is a continuation of our Super Collector series, and today we're going to be talking with Craig Berry. Craig has accumulated over 10,000 in-person autographs from his childhood through his adulthood, things he got with his dad. You'll hear the story in that segment that's coming up pretty soon. But before we do that, as we always do, I want to make sure that I let you know that you need to check out Underdog Collectibles, the online shop run by collectors for collectors. They break new product every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night. And you can find out what they're going to be breaking this week at udogcollect.com. You can also check out their brick and mortar store in Knoxville, Tennessee, where they've got a full selection of singles, wax, and you can even watch some of their breaks live there in the shop. So check out Underdog Collectibles at udogcollect.com and tell them WaxPackHero sent you. We are back again for another segment in our Super Collector series, and today we have Craig Berry joining us, and Craig has quite a super collection to talk through. Before I spill the beans on what that is, I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So when I put out the call for super collectors, your name came across as somebody that I needed to talk to, and I saw what your collection was, and I said, yeah, there's a lot of questions here. So Craig, what is your super collection?
I have about 10,000 in-person autographs that is concentrated in the early 90s that my father and I built from zero all the way to this. And it was an incredible experience getting those.
10,000 in-person autos. Now, did he have any before you started this, or was it literally you two sat down and said, what do we want to do? Let's get some autographs.
So this about 92, my dad's friend, Larry Heisel, was hired as the Blue Jays hitting coach. So I was 9 years old. So we went up to Cleveland to watch them. Then we went to Toronto. At that same time, there was an individual that was coaching me in Little League that went up to Columbus, which is the AAA team for the Yankees at the time. And so we went up with him. We're going, what are you doing standing on the rail 2 hours before a game? Well, I collect autographs. I'm like, okay, why? And it was a situation, my father and I are very similar people. We're both hyper competitive. We argued perpetually, even at 9 and 10. But the one thing we really never argued over was getting autographs together. So in a sense, we were born on third base. I know that saying's popular right now with the Blue Jays, but we would go to Columbus every single home game and get autographs from the minor leaguers, which a heck of a time to be in Columbus, because that's when Jeter and Mariano and Pettit and Posada and Bernie Williams, and then the late Gerald Williams came through. All those guys were coming through at that time. And it was an experience because he played in college. I ended up playing in college, and he never pushed me into baseball, but just being around the game made me want it more and more and more. And it was an incredible experience because I got to watch all these guys up close. And the more autographs we got, the more we became addicted to it, to the point where I think they're called lounge lizards. We would hang out in hotel lobbies. We would travel with the Blue Jays. On top of being in Columbus, we would do huge card shows going after certain guys. So that's the origin of it, if you will.
So you got started getting these autographs. You did a lot of them, it sounds like, at stadiums, expanded more and more. At what point did it cross that line from this is a lot of fun, we're having fun with it, to let's make this a thing? Like, did you get to a point where you had a goal of how many you wanted to get, or a certain number from each team, or a certain number of players? Like, where did that evolve between this is something that we're having fun with to it being 10,000 in-person autos?
Believe it or not, it was never a thing. There was never a goal. There was never a number in mind. It was my father and I spending quality time together around the game and being around other great individuals and being really seeing how guys worked. And the autographs, at points they were ancillary because we were around the game so much, but it was never and has never been a goal of how many. It was more about who and the stories behind them.
So speaking of the stories, what are a couple of the more memorable moments, or some of those more memorable situations, whether it's from the player themselves or a memory that you and your dad created together?
My dad's favorite player was Paul Molitor. And he was with the Jays on their back-to-back year. He wasn't there the first year. It was Winfield was their DH the first year. Molitor was year 2. And he was always on me going, like, ask him for a bat. Ask him for, like, because I like to get bats. It was one of my things. Like, we've got Posada bat. We've got a Robbie Alomar bat. And Darren Hall, well, I'll back that up. I would give guys cards a lot of times that they hadn't seen. This was pre every player signed every card in different colored borders and numbered cards like there is today. This was, I mean, if Pinnacle made a card, guys didn't get those cards. And we would have those the day they came out. So we'd be at a stadium and a guy would see a card and go, can I have this? And I'd say, sure, but I want something in return, which has carried over into my life well beyond. Have something of value, get value for it. So Darren Hall had seen us around for, oh gosh, probably 20 games at that point, and said, hey, can I have this card? I said, sure. And he said, well, what do you want, big man? I'm 10, 11 at this point. And I said, I don't know, just get me a bat. He's a pitcher in the American League. He didn't have bats. And he said, well, who do you want a bat of? And I said, oh, I don't care. And so my dad said, Molitor. And he just starts to laugh. So we show up at batting practice the next day. And mind you, I would get to go into batting practice with the Blue Jays in Toronto when it was just me and my parents. There'd be no other than grounds crew, players, and concession stand workers. We were the only ones in the stadium. So we're in BP. It's the last day of a homestand. We're about to go back to Ohio. And he comes out and he's got a bat and it's in a sock, long tube sock. And he hands me the bat and I just say, thank you. Like, I'm not going to look at it. Like, I didn't want to be rude. Like, who'd he give me? Who'd he give me? Who'd he give me? And it was a team signed 94 Blue Jays bat on Molitor's bat.
Wow.
So that's one of my favorite items by far and away.
Was there anything that you ever did that was like a super challenging get? Somebody that you really had to jump through a lot of hoops to be able to land?
It's funny because I see that he signs now through, I think it's Pass Pros. Devo White didn't sign for anybody. He was always, I've got you. I'll get you tomorrow. I'll get you tomorrow. I'll get you tomorrow. Now, mind you, he's now seen me for 3 years, probably 60 games at this point. We've become, I don't want to say friends, but acquaintances with a lot of guys on the team. And he was always a no. And it's because the story goes that he was in Phoenix and he was at a show and he saw people selling his autographs that he just signed like the day before. Skeeter Barnes, when he came through with the Toledo Mud Hens as the manager, was brutal. Skeeter Barnes was bad. Matt Stairs, but again, from what I'm told, is Matt Stairs softened up as he got older. Because if you remember, Matt Stairs was stuck in AAA with the Expos. He was blocked. He was blocked by Larry Walker. They had Vlad coming. He was blocked. He wasn't going anywhere. So of course he was going to be a little bit rougher around the edges at that point. And I hear he turned out to be a great signer in the future. But Skeeter Barnes and Matt Stairs were absolutely brutal, and Devo was impossible. And now you can send Devo $20 and he'll sign your card. And I think Skeeter signs his mail now.
You talked about cards. You talked about your bat. Of these 10,000 autographs, what are most of them on? Is it a combination of everything, or is it mostly cards, mostly balls? What exactly how does that break down, that 10,000?
There's probably 100 balls, 10,000 cards, 50 game used bats. I've got some catcher's gear that was given to me. Joe Kamek, his last game. One of the great things was the last game of AAA for a lot of guys. If they weren't going up for September call-ups, they would just give their stuff away. So like Luis Castillo, second baseman, who had a 14-year career, 12-year career, really good career, gave me a bat, gave me hats, gave me a glove, a lot of cool memorabilia that way. So it breaks down, the overwhelming majority of it would be on cards, but we do have several bats, several balls, equipment, some 8x10s, not many. That really wasn't our thing. So the overwhelming majority, to answer your question, is all on cards.
Where do you store and or display that stuff? Is that at your house, or a combination of you and your dad's house, or where do you showing that off?
Some of it is here. Some of it is in a locker that has some security, like the 293 Jeter SPs that are signed, lockers. There's a couple other rare Jeters that, the bank vault that won't see the light of day until the little dude that we're adopting is in his 20s. And then maybe when he's responsible, we'll pass the torch, as my father passed the torch to me. A few things are on display. Some at my place of business, which is, they're great conversational pieces.
Yep.
My Ohio State stuff will be hung in my man cave, and the rest are in boxes and binders and the bank in a locker, and it scattered about. Sort of difficult to display that many cards without creating an entire wall dedicated to autographed wallpaper.
Sure. Now, are you still adding to that collection, or where's the collection going at this point? What's the end game for that collection?
So what we've decided is my family lives in Ohio. We're down in Charlotte. I'm actually going to be selling the overwhelming majority of the cards, except the ones that have true sentimental value to me. And again, the little boy that we're adopting, he just turned 6 and he's athletically gifted. And I want him to be around the game. And I feel like this is the perfect thing to have him around the game where I'm not pressuring him into, hey, let's go work out and let's do long toss at the age of 6.
Sure.
So we're selling it, and then he and I are going to start over. A portion of that's going to go towards charity, and then a portion of that is going to allow my parents to be down here even more because they're in their mid 70s. And I'd like to have them be around the little boy as much as possible. And that's where it's going right now. And then a lot of it, speak of the devil, sorry about the ding. A lot of that will, with some of the excess funds, I do want to put more things on display. I have a Mount Rushmore of each sport that I would like jerseys of, because jerseys are easier to display than the cards. So I've got a top 5 from each sport, and then I'd like to add Tiger to the collection as too, because he's the only reason that I ever watched golf. But I've got a top 5, top 7 of each sport that I'd like to add to as far as jerseys. And LeBron and Jordan, that's not cheap. So some of those funds will be going towards those jerseys.
That is really cool. I think that is a great use for that. Like you said, a big piece of the whole process in the beginning was just the memories that it created and the time that you and your dad had as you were going and acquiring these. So, as you kind of transition that into the next chapter of the story of the memories from the first 10,000 into something a little bit different for you and your son, I think that's going to be really cool.
And the beautiful part is, since we're in Charlotte, we've got a AAA team a mile down the road from my house. And then Kannapolis, which is single A, is 25 minutes. And then Greensboro and Winston-Salem, which are both A-ball, right up the road. So we'll be able to institute a lot of the same techniques. And then I don't know if I've got the hotels in me anymore, hanging out in hotel lobbies for 5 and 6 hours, but I could do it a couple times a year for the certain teams that I'd really like. And I'd like to take them down to spring training as well, because that was a unique experience. So that's where we're going with it.
That is really cool. I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about that collection. 10,000 autographs, all gotten in person. That is something to be proud of. And I hope you do something else to capture the memories that went along with those. So thanks again for coming on. Is there anything else that you want people to know about the collection, or any kind of parting story that you want to share before we go today?
No, I would just encourage, especially if you've got kids out there, as a parent, I would encourage anybody to do it, because it's a soft way to get kids around the game and lessons that carry on decades later. It's created phenomenal memories for my father and I that we still tell a few times a year. Do you remember this story? Do you remember this? Do you remember that? And it was an incredible experience.
Very cool. If people want to follow along with you as you kind of continue that story, or maybe even as you start to sell some things and maybe want to pick up a piece or two that you're getting ready to move, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter, message me on Twitter at agent_CRB. I'm on Facebook, Craig Robert Berry, and it's a picture of my wife and I's, my better half. She's there. Just shoot me a message. But yeah, those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
All right. Well, thanks again, Craig, for coming on.
I appreciate it.
The Sports Card Shop is your small town local card shop with a global reach. Located in New Buffalo, Michigan, the shop is one of the most accessible in the Midwest. In addition to being an authorized Panini direct dealer, the Sports Card Shop carries all major trading card brands, including Topps, Upper Deck, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and more. With all that new wax, 500,000 singles, and showcases full of graded cards, you're sure to find something great for your collection, whether you're just starting out or a seasoned collector. The Sports Card Shop is your one-stop shop. So call us, come see us, or visit us on the web and social media. Our phone number is 269-469-0140. Website is thesportscardshop@moco.com. The Sports Card Shop is part of the MOCO Retail Group, connecting sports, the hobby, and people around the world.
10,000 in-person autographs. I enjoyed talking with Craig to hear some of those behind-the-scenes stories of what it's like on the road, both at minor league games and professional MLB games, what it took to get some of those autographs, the relationships that he was building with staff and players along the way. It was a pretty cool story to me, so I wanted to make sure I got a chance to share that with all of you today. I apologize for some of the gremlins that seem to be in the Zoom call with us, causing a little bit of interference there, but hopefully you were still able to enjoy that conversation. Well, that is all I have for you today, so I'll catch you next time.